What if the single most expensive feature in your apartment is the waiting period? NYC's process to approve housing can add up to $82,000 per unit before anyone moves in. That's the price of delay. In this video, we debug the city's housing algorithm, ULURP, like bad code. We'll trace the bottlenecks, member deference, duplicative environmental reviews, and neighborhood veto loops. Then we test a clean build, citywide strategic rules, 60-day reviews, and as of right in transit-rich zones. Want your rent to drop? Fix the runtime. Before we move on, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel and like the video. Your apartment has a hidden charge on the invoice. Months of delay fees big enough to buy a fleet of decent used cars. Where does that number even come from? Short answer: a process that treats every building like a brand new bug report with no shared memory and bills you for every loop. ULURP runs like legacy code, patched, slow, fragile. A typical housing project starts with pre-certification, where planners, lawyers, and consultants spend months wrangling scope and formatting so the city will even accept the submission. Nothing is official yet, but the clock is burning in real life. Land carry, consultants on retainer, interest ticking. Then it finally certifies and you enter the pipeline. Sounds clean, right? But here's the catch. The pipeline is actually a maze with side quests. Projects get screened under SECRA and CEQR. Twice. You scope the environmental review, then write a draft environmental impact statement, then respond to comments, then finalize, even when you've already studied traffic at every intersection within a mile and counted shadows like they're billable hours. Meanwhile, neighborhood politics add a veto loop called member deference. Translation: if the local council member hates your project, the whole thing slows or dies. That local voice has become a system-level throttle. Let's walk one real timeline. Pre-cert scoping eats 6 to 9 months. A consultant team assembles baseline conditions and runs trip generation models. You file the DEIS. The community board starts its 60-day review, but you pause to answer a last-minute data request about school seats. The borough president weighs in, sometimes with a wish list that forces a partial redesign. You head to city planning for a hearing, and the chair asks for a narrower curb cut and a deeper affordability band. Back to the model. Design team revises. Lender asks if the new unit mix still pencils. Then City Council, where negotiations reopen things you thought were closed. If a member signals no, you voluntarily withdraw and restart. Do-overs are the default setting. The Citizens Budget Commission has run the numbers. Uncertainty and delay can add roughly $82,000 per unit. Let that sink in. And the Furman Center keeps finding the same outcome on the other end. Underproduction, low vacancy, and a tight market that punishes renters. When supply lags, the cheapest unit is the one that never gets built, and the one that does gets priced to survive the gauntlet. Cost of money is the silent killer. Every month you wait, you carry land and pre-development loans. Interest rates move while you're stuck in hearings, so pro formas break mid-process. You lock a contractor, then change orders ripple because your facade shifted or your ground floor use got tweaked after another advisory letter. Miss a tax credit window by a quarter? You don't just lose paperwork, you lose the capital stack that made the math work. District veto power also moves where housing happens. Multifamily near transit, where people actually want to live and can ditch a car, gets stalled, while tiny, pricier infill slips through in places with less opposition and worse access. So you end up with fewer units, in the wrong spots, at higher price points. That's not planning. That's latency dressed as democracy. There's a cleaner build. Think of swapping spaghetti code for a compiled runtime that executes the same logic in a fraction of the time, without rerunning the same function on every click. You keep standards, you kill duplication. So what does $82,000 look like on your lease? Spread across, say, a 200-unit building with a basic return baked in, you're looking at hundreds a month added to every door. That's the runtime tax. You don't see it on the rent line, but you pay it every 30 days. If the bug is delay and veto loops, the hotfix is obvious. Objective rules, a real clock, and a path that doesn't reboot when a local email thread gets loud. And yes, there's a version of this already running in places that actually ship housing. What happens if you swap neighborhood vetoes for objective citywide rules and a 60-day clock? You flip the script. Instead of begging for permission 12 different times, you run on a schedule that can't ghost you. You submit, it triggers a countdown, and the decision lands before your financing term sheet expires. Sounds almost illegal, right? It's not. It's a fix. Here's the thing. The clean build starts with a citywide strategic plan that actually means something. Not a glossy PDF, real criteria. What counts as near transit? How much floor area belongs where the jobs are? What affordability bands unlock approvals? Then you time-box the reviews. Community boards and borough presidents get standardized 60-day windows. No open-ended purgatory. The process behaves like a compiled script. One pass, consistent logic, no duplicate functions masquerading as community dialogue. But here's the catch you're already thinking about. Doesn't speed break stuff? What about environmental protection and real community voice? Fair questions. The point isn't to skip guardrails. It's to stop rerunning the same test suite twice. Use Type 2 CEQR for routine housing so you're not writing a dissertation on shadows for the 15th time. Keep full reviews for truly complex sites. And anchor the conversation to the citywide plan so people argue about trade-offs with shared facts, not vibes. Align approvals to the plan and you change incentives. If a project matches the map and the metrics, it's presumptively approvable. That word matters. It shifts you out of discretionary politics where one district can stall a building that meets city needs. The debate becomes, prove why this fails the standard, not prove why you deserve an exception. Cleaner logic. Fewer dead ends. There are real proposals to make this practical. Standard 60-day windows for community boards and borough offices. No extensions by email chain. Type 2 CEQR actions for routine housing so teams can skip the long-form grind when impacts are predictable and mitigable. A zoning administrator empowered to grant minor waivers, setbacks, curb cuts, that tiny height tweak, so you don't escalate trivia to a full legislative circus. Think of it like moving small tickets out of the Supreme Court's calendar and into small claims where they belong. Then you crank the as of right near transit. Higher FAR where subways and jobs already exist. Fewer parking minimums because building car storage next to a train is like installing a treadmill in the elevator. Add a builder's remedy-style backstop. If the clock runs out and you meet the plan, you move. Miss the deadline, lose the veto. Suddenly, schedules matter more than press conferences. Governance matters too. District-only councils tend to produce hyper-local gatekeeping. One fix on the table is adding at-large council seats to balance city interests. Pair that with modern community boards, smaller, trained, and tech-enabled, so input is faster and smarter. It's not less democracy, it's better signal. Fewer midnight meetings, more searchable records, clearer outcomes. All right, money question. How much rent does a 60-day clock actually save? Carry costs pile up while you wait. Land interest, legal churn, consultants on standby, inflation hitting materials. Cut months, and you cut real dollars. You also remove the risk premium lenders bake in for maybe never. That discount shows up twice. Cheaper capital now and more projects that pencil it all.